Hello, my name is Serial Eater, and I'm here to talk about books. So, from time to time, we get that feeling of wanting more information after watching a movie. Maybe the plot wasn't enough, or maybe there was a few details that you feel like weren't touched on enough. Well, good people of YouTube, this is what I want to talk to you all about. I wanted to focus on horror media, and what better to start with than Audition? Audition is a horror movie that was directed by Takashi Miike, which had a book that was written by Ryu Murakami, which is considered a cult classic within the horror community. And I was really excited to learn that there was a book about it until I wasn't. Here's my pre warning that I will be talking candidly about this movie and book, which will include spoilers. So I'll put a timestamp on the screen where you can skip over the nitty gritty details just see if you want to read the book and watch this movie. And I'm pausing for a timestamp. The timestamp should be somewhere on the screen, wherever I feel like putting it. And there. With that out of the way, I wanted to talk first about why I was so disappointed with this book. I'm used to books being better than movies, and I was shocked to see that one was the opposite. The movie was considerably better than the book, in my opinion, on this one. Um, so the premise of the story is there was a middle-aged man who loses his wife to cancer, and his name is Shigaru Aoyama, and he's like a TV producer, and he is generally a busy guy. He keeps to himself. Um, he keeps himself busy at work, and with with that, he's raising his son he had with his late wife until his son gets older and tells his father to get a new wife. And then here's the thing. Because Aoyama has connections with the entertainment industry, his friend Yoshikawa suggests they hold an audition for a TV show they can run. Um, this this TV show is not going to be made. They both know that, but they keep convincing themselves like, "Oh, we can pretend it's getting made. We can even go through all of the steps of it getting made so it looks like it's going to get made." But really, at the end of the day, what they're trying to do is find Aoyama the perfect wife and really not have her be in this TV show. They have this weird way of thinking of like bending over backwards to convince themselves they're not just catfishing women into showing up to um this movie thing. It it's a lot of bending over backwards. It's a lot of them convincing themselves, "Oh, we're gonna go through all these steps," and I'm gonna say waste a lot of time to get these women to just show up because they run this radio program and they do all these things, all these steps, and it's just a lot of bending over backwards for, you know, trying to get women to show up. Um, so basically what happens is Yoshikawa is like an audition holder. He gets all these applications for these women who want to come in and audition for the show that they're going to run, and he hands all of these audition applications to Aoyama, and that's where Aoyama like shuffles through the papers and finds Asami Yamazaki, who's basically the main antagonist, if you really want to call her that. I don't I like Asami, but it's very much written with the male gaze. So it's like she kind of comes off like a sweet girl And because Aoyama's such a unreliable narrator, because he's madly in love with this girl without even meeting her and just reading her um her essay, he's it's just he's not very aware of what he's getting into by being in love with Asami. From the outside looking in, Asami is like this beautiful, perfect girl. And the minute that Aoyama like thinks about her, he's just got the biggest rose tinted glasses on. I wouldn't even call them rose. They were fully red glasses. So any kind of flags, they all look like flags. Like it does not spark any kind of, suspicion about this girl at all. Like he's just like, yep, she's perfect. There's nothing wrong with her. She's perfectly perfect. And so he's just this really he's just really unreliable narrator. You cannot rely on his assumptions about Asami, because he starts daydreaming about her, and then if you read it enough, it feels like half of the things that actually happen, because it is from Aoyama's point of view, it's not even happening. He's just making shit up in his head. That's how it feels, at least. If you read it and you see something else, then that's how it is, but it feels like he's just making shit up. So Asami, eventually they get into the audition room, they do the auditions, he doesn't give a crap about any of the other women, and Yoshikawa's like, dude, you have to pretend to even care about literally any of them. People are going to see through our ruse. And he was like, I just want to see this one girl. And that's it. He just wants to see Asami. And eventually Asami does come up in the audition, and she's just as perfect and wonderful as he would think she is, apparently. And Yoshikawa is immediately suspicious of her. It feels like out of no reason, out of nowhere. But because Aoyama is such a unreliable narrator, it's really not out of nowhere. He's just like, that girl's weird. I don't think you should date that girl or marry that girl. That girl's weird. Did you look into this girl? And then Aoyama's like, no. But and then basically he ignores what Yoshikawa has to say. The smart one out of the two of them, and goes and tries to date her. He kind of like is like, oh, can I talk to you more? And like kind of is catfishing for the TV show. Like, oh, I just want to talk to you about the show. I wanted to get to know you better. Maybe you'd be a better fit. And it doesn't really, it doesn't really work that way. He's clearly getting really sweaty, and he's like, man, I really love this girl. And then she meets up with him, and she dates him, and she's like all coy and cute, but there are peaks past the veil that Aoyama puts up, because you can see that she drops her coy persona, and he's like, where's this voice coming from? Where's the sweet little voice that I'm used to? And then she puts the mask right back up, like, oh no, I didn't mean to do that. I'm sorry. And then it's like, so, eventually they date, and they do the thing, and when they go out on like a big like trip together, they sleep together, and she's just gone. Like, she ghosts him. Like, when he falls asleep, she's just out of there. He goes to the front desk. He's like, where'd she go? And he was like, oh, she left in the middle of the night. And so he comes back from the vacation. He's depressed. He stops eating and drinking and being a human being. And everyone's worried about him. He's losing a lot of weight. He's real sick, and he's just like, he's turning into a skeleton because this girl ghosted him. And like, eventually she starts showing up again. She's like, I'm sorry, you proposed to me. Yes, he proposed to her on the weird sex travel date thingy. And she's like, it was too much at the time. Well, I want to see you again. And you know, and this is the point in the book and the movie where it kind of splits even more, where Aoyama was looking into her in the movie. He was looking into her. He was trying to figure shit out about her. He was kind of pulling down the rose tinted glasses, while in the book he kind of doesn't even bother. He doesn't even bother with that. He's just like, oh, you promise, you're a great girl. Okay, great. They don't go into an investigative thing in the book. He doesn't really investigate her. So in the book, Asami is not really fully investigated at all. Like, a lot of the book is just, how do I word this? It's just him talking about rich people stuff. It's like, he's like talking about like rich people food and how you're supposed to eat rich people food, and how he went to Germany and did this whole long thing, and he was like, man, I want to go on back to Germany with someone I love, and all this kind of stuff. And it's like, in the movie, he goes and investigates Asami, where you can see more of her backstory, where it's like, she was already a murderer, and she was already like heavily abused. They do reference her abuse in the book. There is a lot of, essay in this, and it's a lot of her backstory where essay happens. Like, we got like a lot of the childhood trauma for Asami, but it goes more heavily into it in the movie. And it's okay. The next part is where things kind of get split more, because it's in the movie, they go into how Asami tortures Aoyama. She does her thing with the needles, and then she cuts his foot off and whatever. In the book, she does the same thing. No needles. But in the book, they focus a lot more on the torture of the dog instead of the torture of Aoyama. A lot of the hard feelings that Aoyama has in the book come from Asami hurting their dog, which makes me really mad. I absolutely hate when books, movies, comics, anything go into reaching into psychological horror via the animals or children in the book or movie. I think that's a cheap shot for people. Like, it's cheap and it's mean, because everyone loves the animal. Usually people love the kid. It's not like something that can protect itself. It's something that's a little bit, they can't protect themselves at all. So it goes into that part. And that's where I immediately was like, I would never recommend this book for anybody. Because in the movie, they do imply the dog dies. but they don't really go into it as heavy as the book. It's like several pages of torturing this poor creature. And I'm like, I would not just watch the movie. It's better. I there's a lot less of the unreliable narrator in the movie. So at the end, it takes Aoyama and his son, who is a teenager at this point, to take down this one girl. That's it. And then it ends. That's it. So I'm pausing here to cut to the conclusion. And okay. If you skipped here, hello again. If you watched that whole rant about everything, you know what I'm about to say, which is do not read this book. It has a lot of animal death. Don't invest in these two things if you can't deal with animal death and torture, catfishing, SA, things like that. It's not for the faint of heart, but the book is very much focuses on animal torture at the end, and I don't think that it is narratively helpful to the story. I think that it was shock value and it was basically worthless. If you're interested about these things, you know, if you're interested in a 40-ish-year-old man talking about how he's in love with a 24-year-old girl, go ahead and read the book, because that's all he does. He talks about how rich he is and how much he loves a girl who's 20 years younger than him. And yeah, the book, like, once again, I don't think it adds much. If you want to watch the movie, it's free on Tubi. Tubi.com. You can watch it for free. And thank you for tuning in and watching my first YouTube video. Hooray! I am usually live on Twitch, Serial Eater VT. And, you know, I play games, I write, I do art. And if you're interested in that, come see me there. And see you soon, YouTube. I'm going to do more of these. Hopefully with a better series. Okay, bye-bye. Have a good day. Bye.